So hello guys, welcome to the first episode of Cipher Chats. So this name is rather unoriginal, but yeah. So what we're gonna do here is it's gonna be like a weekly segment which I'll be experimenting and introducing guys from Axis Vanguard, and we'll be talking about various topics and testing we've been doing. So yeah, today I'm my co-host for the week, which is Zelius, which is our resident Magnolia player.
Hi guys, I'm Zedius. I pretty much play Stoichea.
Stoichea, yeah. I'm a driver. He always reminds me like it's pronounced like some Greek word.
Yeah, the pronunciation. Getting some used to it. Getting used to it. It's been 1 month, 2 months at this point.
Yeah, it's actually but Overdress just released like in late May for us. So it's been about 2 months into the format actually.
Yeah,
So it
because
actually
we
brings
started testing.
mm,
Yeah.
so we started testing very early from the first even the first two barely start deck shaver. We tested first against Varina.
Yep.
What was that?
We learned that games go to turn 7.
Yeah, like that was the biggest change I think from V series when we just turn 4 over the cross, I die. Yeah.
It was getting used to this meta pretty much.
Mm. The pace is very different from V series, which is a welcome change, but some things stay the same. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, so today we have kind of two or three main topics. The first one will be how we think about the nations. Like, I know nations is a big thing of overdress format, and from my personal experience, a lot of people have quit the game or joined in the game during this period. So like, let's just go through like some how we feel now, like 2 months into the game. DBD02 is around the corner, so we are going to get the two more right lines, which is just the nostalgia money grab, which is DVD and
uh,
Overlord.
aptly named considering they're just there for the
Encounter
names,
cards. Yeah,
and they said they're returning in next year, so count on more of that coming.
yeah, Overlord. Uh, they couldn't go more than 4 months without another one.
It's not even 4 months. Honestly speaking, effectively it's only been 2 months since the set
Oh
release.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like it's barely set 2 and they already introduced the money grabs.
yeah. I actually have a theory on that. No, like maybe it's because they have so many like Token Rambu, Monster Strike, and all this coming out. It's like maybe it's their way to money grab to make sure they can survive even if the collab sets out. Because at least in Asia, right, where we're at, not many people do buy into them.
Yeah, very few people do. Okay, maybe Monster Strike might have more people, but definitely not Token Rumble. It's not as popular here.
Yeah,
But then again, that also ties to the problem of clan identity or nation identity per
mm.
se, because a counter cards are tied to their clan for use in premium, compared to the rest of the nation cards that can be used under any nation as long as they remain that nations supported
yeah.
in
So
premium.
so let's say if you see like the whole blaster duck right and all that, if you say in premium, they're only included in Shadow Paladin, and you're not like a regular overdress card you can play in any clan.
Which is honestly, mm, there's good and bad to it. There's no like, I guess it's so that you can balance around it.
Yeah, because at least with some of the cards you've seen, like the Overlord ones, like I know you're already name restricted, but maybe there might be something like maybe like they don't want to like dilute the clan identity in even in premium, which I'm thinking because eventually if all the decks are just like different flavors of Overlord, Overlord, Murakumo, Overlord, Narukami.
And that's assuming they print more overlords in the
Yeah,
era, which they
I'm
will.
sure they will. I'm sure
They
they
will.
will.
They definitely
I'm
will.
sure
The
they
end will
will.
definitely come at some point.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
you understand. They said no encounter cards. They didn't say no more overlords. There's a difference.
and they
Okay.
said next year, so
Yeah, next year March. We still have
uh,
time.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but so far, okay. I guess only Stoichea. Okay, pretty much
Okay.
the
Yeah.
Megalennica and Zoo nations are sort of the losers, I
Mm.
guess, from this nation merge so far because they are two quite contrasts. They're quite different in like how the favors and how have they been so far, and to merge them together, it's like
Yeah, it's certainly the most
definitely.
jarring.
Mm,
Like Keter is like Paladin. Okay, one deck. They're like Oracle is one deck. Genesis was basically copying skills with Soul Blast anyway for a long time, so I guess they can just fit in anyway.
But unlike those nations, only like because Megalonica and Zoo are like one is a sea base and one is plant base. So it's
I
like
guess. Don't forget the animals.
okay, plants and wildlife base. That's
Yeah.
one apt way to put it. But one is sea base and one is plant base. Okay, wildlife base, and mixing them together, mixed reactions so far throughout. But at least with the announcement of the set, as of this recording, the set trees new bosses have been announced. There's a new
Yes,
Aqua Force type boss.
it's your new son, Flagwork Dragon. Basically. Yeah.
Yeah, so with Magnolia, there's already the great nature side thing, the nature side things. With well, technically I say Megalonica, but Bermuda Triangle is being
Okay,
made
Bermuda
into their own
Triangle-
nation.
They got eaten into the sky, and now they're lyrical. Which getting at least 6 decks, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, considering there's only effectively there will only be 12 decks after set 2
Yeah, because-
releases.
The reason why I said that was collabs are not guaranteed for worldwide release yet. Yeah, so we only know 12 are kind of confirmed that everybody will play with.
As of this recording.
As
But
of this
of
recording.
course, speaking from a perspective of someone who's playing the Japanese format, collab clans have always been a mix of if they are meta, they'll be played. If they're not meta, they're not played. So
Yeah,
it's
pretty
like-
much. Even Bermuda does some regard. But the support does come once a year, so a lot of time people pick up Bermuda strictly because it's the best deck in the format at that time. I think experienced that multiple times in V and once in G, which is kind of a pattern which we might see. I hope they don't just power creep everything.
don't revert back to the old ways.
Yeah, I remember Anjay.
That last set was midly it's really midly putting. It's pretty.
I remember like the actual the actual thing was it our team league after the team league, the Japanese format. We were like, okay, we lose, let's just go straight and queue up for the start decks. For that time the V series start decks. We were like, let's get out of this format.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that format was really bad.
Yeah, it was as close to a tier 0 as I remember.
Which brings it to the problem with nations. So they finally stated clearly that they want the Bermuda
To be its own thing.
to be its own thing, which and it's also so currently as of now it's currently scheduled to be collabed with D4DJ. For those who are following, D4DJ EN just released worldwide English. Come and join.
Free
me.
download Bushiroad.
Free download to play. Please play my gacha game. Signed by Bushiroad.
Yeah,
This is not a promotional ad.
we are really shilling out for Bushiroad right here. So I don't know how many viewers they are. Okay. Anyway, so back to the nation argument. So how do you feel about the decks currently? Like I think the big thing initially people worry about is clan identity, right?
Yep.
Like we've kind of touched on before. But multiple clans in the past have very similar playstyles and even mechanics. Like for the longest time in G era, Aqua Force and Nova Grappler were basically the same deck, just with different strikes. Like these are like some examples.
It
Then-
became very diluted.
Yeah. Like honestly, this is my take at least. I feel that with the new Overdress format, all 12 decks feel unique enough. Like, okay, maybe not PPD, but but the rest definitely feel unique enough to be its own thing. Okay, maybe PPD still counts.
Okay, I guess we can
Yeah.
we should remove the encounter cards first.
Yeah,
We should
let's
talk
just go
about
through the first 10.
Yeah, let's go through the first 10 instead. Because the two encounter cards are technically callback cards because
Yeah, so
the skills are
it makes
similar to
sense.
those of their first gen.
Yeah. So let's start with Overdress, I guess. So yeah, Overdress is very unique. There's not much to say. There's really nothing quite like it before, at least in Vanguard.
Basing off of other card games, yeah, there are similar type gauge type cards and all that. Technically, armor gauge is one thing, but this one you're riding
Yeah, I
over
guess
a
you
unit.
can play it off that. Yeah.
Mm.
And also the whole mechanic of Overdress in general, having that the many stages they form. As you've seen, like set 3 already announced a third likely triple out of Virina, so it's like it's gonna keep evolving directly. Like we've seen this in like the G zone before, but nothing like this extreme. Because we all know these are all main deck cards for now. So like the fact that we're getting so many forms so quickly really is trying to show how far you're trying to push the image. Because when Varina was first announced, it was like said you fight alongside your evolving body or something like that. I remember.
Yep. So like it's already currently there is 3 forms of Arena, and the 4th one slated to be released. So it's like they're definitely playing it off that,
It's 5, right?
and they're also syncing it
5.
off. They're definitely syncing it off the anime too, which definitely means there'll be more Varinas to come.
Yeah. As for gameplay itself, pretty unique because of the whole right deck mechanic. Getting off the overdress is really nice, and I like the part where there's balance between how hard do you commit to one stack of units. As overdress, if you play one stack and it's gone, you effectively lose 3 cards for the opponent's like 1 card.
2 to 3 cards.
Yeah, 2 to 3 cards. So it's like while the deck wants to play aggro, at least the way it's being seen with Valiant and even the new one Elgar, yeah, like they like there's really like a risk factor to it.
It's pretty unique. It's also the fact that it's the first deck to experiment with grade 0 like
main deck
grade 0 as
yeah.
a catalyst. Normally, when we have grade 0s in the main deck, they generally have a more useful skill than just being effectively resist.
Yeah, it's very like Digimon-esque, like building up stacks, trying to. I do wonder when we'll see cards that will like inherit each other's skill. Maybe I think I played too much about the fight back in the day.
Then again, that's a possible future overdress card where it copies the entire dress,
stack.
Dress units.
Yeah, imagine Valiant plus Elgar, superior.
But that
what?
superior dress.
It's like at least 3 attacks from that.
It's overdress,
Yes.
You just call it overdress card in its original dress.
Yeah.
That was the name. So they technically can plan. They already have the wording for that. So it's definitely possible in the future. But it's definitely something they try.
As for like callbacks to the old nations, honestly, it's like a brand new deck. I don't really see like you do see some elements of like clans in it, but actually I have a small theory. I think it's not really unpopular, but I think eventually once Varina gets like 6-7 forms, you'll effectively get like 1 ability from each main style of like nation from back in the day. Like Elgar is multi-attack, right?
But that's already retire or card draw.
Yeah, retire. There's card draw. There's on hit pressure.
And there's on hit pressure.
Yeah, so like the new one also see something like at least the small thing they gave was like it uses the power of the dress to get even more attacks or power. Something along those lines. I can't really confirm that, but yeah, like this is actually very like they're very in tune with other nations than just traditional Dragon Empire from back in the day.
It's definitely a more unique thing.
I think eventually, yeah, we'll see like I don't know, Overdress 6 you win the game. I don't know.
Don't base it off the Vanguard 0 promotional cards where they pretty much say if you hate the X amount you win the game.
Yeah, okay. So I think Revelation Overdress is pretty unique on its own, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, then there's Eugene. Yeah, Eugene.
Which it's technically more of a callback to the original Vanguard.
Yeah, Eugene to me feels like old school Kagero with some elements of like even like Tachikaze, in my opinion at least. Because you have this whole like typical beatdown strategy and you use the skill to superior call, right?
Yep.
But you still have the pinpoint retire, which is like very early Kagero back in the day.
Well, its whole focus is based off the retire mechanic. Retiring opponents' units, getting power and getting units off it. The current problem right now is just that it's always been the same. Being just retire and advantage may not be enough. Obviously, want to see how much further they can go with the support, and hopefully, it's one of the rare. It's pretty much more of a true blue Kagero deck than obviously Overlord itself.
Like I know Adrius likes the deck a lot, like our friend Adrius. So yeah, he says he's like playing very early Kagero in the day.
Yeah, it's very old school, and in
And
terms
personally,
of like
I think
nation, it does
it,
embody a lot quite
it
well.
does. If you like traditional Dragon Empire, yeah, it's pretty unique. Like it's unique because it's simple to the point. As compared to Virina, at least it's a big contrast. Virina's all like, oh, it's hip, cool, new. Let's just overdress as much as you want. Like evolve. It's like very it's very protagonist. Yeah, that's no other way to put it. Yeah,
That's a pretty likely way of putting it.
yeah, yeah. I think with
So the next deck on the list, shall we go down the line, or you have a specific one to talk about?
not really.
All right, then we just go to Dark States then. We talk
Dark
about Bruce
States,
first.
yeah. So Bruce is right now after set 2 cards especially. I think it's definitely a mix of Sprite Brothers and Pale Moon. Like it's definitely a mix of those two, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Because you have the
Yeah.
whole multi-attack chain, especially of Leonard right now, which is I think Proof discovered like 6-7 attack kind of cut. They call it like Leonard loops, but it's basically if you let Leonard hit in any situation, they can chain off extra attacks, bringing up to like 7 attacks. Like, 1 second. Then there's also the whole Fine Rush mechanic. We use Soul as a resource, which is Sprite Rider's signature ability last time. At least until Hellheart 8, where you just rush
At least.
everything until the Soul. Yeah. With the old school Juggernaut maximum. Vanguard 0 people, remember, right?
Oh no. Yeah, but
It's actually really funny, like back in the day, because the Juggernaut version was like a 4-off in the actual card game. Like it was a 4-off up until like Limit Break era. Break right era when Bandrigger came out. But in Vanguard 0 it's like immediately like out of the deck because intercept is too strong.
it was played for a while.
Yeah, for a while, yeah.
But then again, it's more for it's being a mix of Sprite Brothers and Pale Moon. It definitely embodies more of the Sprite Brothers aspect than
at least
Pale Moon
the way
aspect.
it looks, yeah.
Yeah. In terms of appearance alone is one thing. Its skills also it's built up for that one final turn, like final rush, as the name implies.
Yeah, it's very Sprite Brothers, yeah, for sure. I also like the part where it's a lot of cards just go in. Like now, there's a lot of cards that just enter the soul or call cards from the soul now.
Compared to earlier, like comparing it to OG Vanguard, G era Vanguard, or V era Vanguard, D era's pace is definitely faster than G and currently about behind V, definitely.
I think it's really because we have the increased shield value, but yeah, we just don't have the the OP certain 3 kill you skills. That's probably due to that.
That's also true. We haven't hit that point yet, but
Yeah.
definitely faster than G. But the way it goes through the deck is way faster than G era ever did. Funnily enough.
Yeah, I remember like at first you were like, oh GB. Remember when they released GB8s back in the day? And right now it's like which land actually care about it? Yeah, it's very few.
Yeah, it's like the game state accelerated, but then again we're coming off of V where the game state is the great 3 turns are the strongest. Because in games in D era do not last that long. Last longer, but like they're not turn 9 long.
Yeah, you're not that long. They don't last TGB8s.
So it's like, but Bruce being a tag that only generally functions only from turn 4 onwards is unique.
Yeah, it's also because of that like the deck's not as bad as people thought it was. Remember when it was first revealed, everybody was like, "Is Vanilla on turn 4? It's sure to be bad." Then eventually,
Vanilla
like,
up to turn 4.
Yeah, it's up to turn 4. Yeah, like I think a lot of people forget that you can just play normal Vanguard without much effects.
Like Rush is still king.
Yeah, Rush is still good.
Yeah. But that's the main essence of Vanguard, where everyone
Bruce,
forgot.
Then there's Barrow Magnus, which is just
Barrow Magnus is just
just dark
really
irregulars,
100% dark irregulars.
I would say Pale Moon, but it's quite a stretch because you got no Life King already, and Assassin, so it's basically dark irregulars.
Pretty much, it's been that deck is something else. It Turbo Soul charges faster than any DI deck ever wish it could.
Okay, during your respective eras, yeah, I agree.
Like it's turbo. It's too fast.
It's rather. I'm not sure. Actually, like I am writing the kind of guide of it. If you heard from Jay, but like really, it's like like as far as I see, there's 2 ways to play the deck. either one, you're turboing to 15 immediately and just trying to high roll your opponent. Because the advantage you get from the 15 install skill is just kind of unfair, especially against some matchups. Then there's people who want to play a more slow tempo based game, which I think is what they intended it to be. But yeah, someone printed too much soul charge, I guess.
Too much soul charge is an understatement. The current deck alone has the whole
Even out of
deck
set
is
one, yeah.
out of set one. The whole deck's devoted to the soul charge mechanic, and there is deck slots possible if you want to take in some defensive options or offensive attacking units to be superior core with Baron Magnus' skill. But either way, the point stands is that it's still a deck that aims to hit its 10 and 15 soul break points at very fast and very early and very like it shows off its strength very quick. It accelerates the game pace very fast because when it gets it off being a critical vanguard, yeah, in this reduced resources in this era, it's gonna hurt a lot of decks.
I think that's why the set 2 stuff feels so underwhelming, because set 1 was already that good, which is actually surprising given how few cards you get. But I think that's because Dark States, since previously, like 3 out of 4 clans were based on soul charge, so there's a lot of overlap in terms of like skills you can play in both decks.
In terms of overlapping, they're all similar in the way that they soul charge, but obviously the end gaming, the winning
soul,
image is obviously different.
Die regular could be that
Yeah.
Spike Brothers blast it out, Pale Moon just plays tricks with them. Yeah.
Yeah, Paymoon just plays tricks. They all have different winning images, but more or less the point is that
Actually,
they're roughly similar.
There's no real Gear Chronicle rep, right? I suppose.
Yet.
Yeah. Actually, one of the new right lines is for Dark States, I think.
Yeah, it is for Dark
Grey
States,
Dawn,
but
right?
it's but its art style that is definitely not reminiscent of any Dark States
People
card
say it's
currently.
Pale Moon. I guess it could be like some like ring leader or something.
Possible. Won't count it out.
Yeah, but generally they do like embody the clan. So if you're playing Dark States, like surprisingly with just like that many cards, both decks do feel distinct enough, which was really one of my surprises. Because at least when playing a nation where both core mechanic is basically the same thing, soul charge, I was just surprised how different they end up feeling in the final. I think it's because Final Rush, partly because you can't do both Final Rush.
Not only that, so Final Rush Soul Blasters from the Soul, which is more not like Pale Moon or DI in the past don't really like the Soul Blast.
Yeah, it's just a spike thing.
Yeah, it's only generally a spike thing, or well, GCC doesn't really count here. They don't. Okay, they soul charge and they use soul for their cores, but they don't really like do this type of turbo soul charging.
I'm feeling they're just saving the art style for GC because like it's really the money maker in Dark States, right?
Yeah, that Pale Moon has its own set of fans, but obviously not as much
Gear
as
Chronicle.
Gear Chronicle.
Yeah.
Dark Irregulars, there are people who like that style of vampires and medieval style, but there's only so much you can go before like people get bored of it.
I think Baron's really fresh though. Baron has like I don't know, it's like the old sidekicks, but it's a lot of like gear and can control gravity. Last time it used to be like fire, water, ice. Now it's like just jump straight to gravity.
Yeah, it's more unique, definitely.
Yeah.
Alright, then going on, the next nation we can talk about. We can talk about Keter Century.
Oh, Keter, that's my breeze. Okay, anyway, Keter's it's like it sounds pretty much. Remember like all those like paladin decks. Version basically is just the best version of like not best version. It's like it's another great base deck. This time using 3. Royals used 2, Shadows used 1. Now you just go to 3 for some reason. I think it's after 3,000 years. You're like, you know what? Let's just go to grade 3.
Okay, to be fair, it's benefiting from the fact that the right decks exist for this
Yeah,
era.
I'll say it's the deck that abuses the right deck the most.
Because you don't have to guarantee run grade 1s or grade 2s anymore.
Yeah, and your early game is always very strange because of how many grade 3s you have. You're always going to get rushed if your opponent tries to aggro you.
of course, that's their deck's no slouch from its turn 3 and turn 4 turn when it's at its strongest. Like the grade 3 turn, because you have so many grade 3s in the deck, all your skills turn online and you start being able to fight back. And turn 4 onwards with Persona Right, you're bound to draw the Persona Right
Yeah.
thanks to the amount of grade 3s you have in your deck, which makes it like, I guess.
Especially, I feel that like Bastion has a lot of draw power surprisingly, which is not very uncommon from like paladins in the past. Like we have Luat, but Luat's whole gimmick was that it keeps cycling effects, right?
You cycle the grade 1s.
Yeah. And sorry if you can hear it. There's like screaming cats in the background. What the
Okay,
hell?
man.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of going for a grade choice, grade 3 is like I guess it's a new take and it definitely plays to the mechanics of this era a lot.
Yeah, certainly it's not something something that got explored previously at least.
Yeah, it's not that they couldn't explore it. It's just that because
There's
of
no
how
there's
the
no right
game-
deck. Yeah, there's no right
Yeah,
deck.
because of how the game is, you've had to play more grade 3s and you forgo grade 1 and grade 2 to start misgrading, and
Yeah, true.
and that's a whole different story on its own.
But the deck's very Royal Paladin. It's very simple to the point. I feel where the deck actually shines, like at least among all the decks, is definitely like its strength in simplicity. It doesn't have much going for it, but it just does what it does like very well. And it's the reason why it's arguably the best deck in format, at least of set 1.
Yep, and set 2 is also
Looking
like
to be a
further
strong,
bolstering its points.
we'll get into set 2 testing, like at least what we think about those 3 decks at least. So
Alright, then the other one.
Hexo, yeah. Okay, this deck's, in my opinion, it's just Oracle thing deck.
It's definitely
It's just Oracle thing deck.
Yeah, because it's mainly due to the scrying and manipulating the triggers.
It's literally just Megas with full advantage, I guess.
Okay, so they're not really skill me. Okay,
Yeah, that's okay. You just Megas. Even the law confirms it. If I'm not mistaken.
True.
Well, the deck's pretty much just Megas like. You have not the most scrying in set 2 at least. Our set 1 is pretty okay. Our set 1, my opinion, the deck's it's not really like highly competitive because none of the cards in set 1 actually help the deck like be pushed to what it's supposed to do. Like a lot of decks in set 1 felt like that way. Like I know Zorga, even Eugene felt incomplete, but Hexop especially felt very incomplete.
Technically, the true complete deck out of set 1 would be Baromegas 100%.
Yeah.
And the close second would technically be Bastion. But
I'll say
course,
Bastion.
yeah, because Bastion has good core grade 3s that they bring over even to their set 2.
Yeah, I like to use an analogy when talking to people. It's like the set 1 stuff is like, okay, Bastion, here's all the cool toys, play with them. Then then Bastion, you get a spot on all the cool units, right? Then one set 2 comes out, it's like, oh, here's more toys, but you need to work for it. Like Persona, right? Then Bastion like, why? Why must I work for things now?
Yeah,
pretty much that's it.
That's true. Then again, it's because its original toys were that good. So technically, we can call it a complete deck.
It's complete enough. I wouldn't be too worried about it. If you're playing the deck right now, set 2 will be fine. I'm still optimizing the things.
Yeah, but so it's just flat out Oracle thing.
Yeah.
Just condensed into the nation.
But one thing definitely I'll highlight about Keter especially is because we have Oracle and the Paladin's playstyle, which are rather different from the get-go, right? Oracle's usually like a bit slower paced, tempo based, but Paladin's usually more aggro. I would not necessarily rush, especially Bastion needs to get trees to start rushing. But the playstyles actually can kind of work together, because previously RP can rush on turn 2, like I think with like Thought Mist, Lius, Benons, I think anyone who's a long-term player will know these names. Century Guards, yeah. So they used to excel in like early game rush. Then Luat's like early game just plus a whole ton with like owls and all. But right now, because Bastion's not behind gate trees and Hexor's actually playing at like turn 3 onwards to get his full combo off, because Hexor is really tight behind his Vanguard skill. Unlike a lot of decks, yeah.
Which is more similar to Oracle
than
anything.
So actually,
Oracle manipulate triggers.
So actually, I feel that now they're, because of this new direction, they both decks actually play at similar pace actually.
Indirectly.
Yeah, yeah.
Not intended.
No,
Definitely
it's not intended. But I mean, I have played basically veteran without veteran. Just play the best play veteran deck, put in the Hexoff right chain, and it still works pretty well actually for set one at least. Like it just shows like they're really now in sync. So any generic cards I feel like for Keter will definitely go quite far.
And also for any future right decks
Mm.
possible to be printed, like looking at set 3, they're already introducing 3 new ones for those clans that didn't get a counter card. And
PBD.
that's a whole different Nessa bucket we'll touch later. But
Okay, I don't hate PBD, but yeah.
but then again, in terms of like future support wise, there's only so much you can go to.
Yeah, because I think the biggest like take away from United at least was like we just searched from everywhere, right? Top card of the deck, whole deck, hand draw, damage zone. So that was a whole like you're able to access things. Card advantage in Keter in United back in the day was the biggest feature of the nation, right?
Yep,
So,
easy to use
easy
skills
advantage.
and easy advantage.
Yeah, there's a reason why like Eldon's by far one of the best cards in the game, in my opinion at least.
Yeah, for right now, it's considered a cycle 2, but you're calling the grade 3s out anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like, is it really a minor?
I like the argument people bring up, but you're just drawing more grade 3s. But then I'm just calling more grade 3s to win, right? Like I don't understand the argument. Like really, it's not more shield value, yeah, but it's still more tool for me to use.
I mean, even if you draw double grade 3s, they can be pitched with Bastion skill, so
Yeah,
not really a waste.
and you cause like Coca BL, which gets shield value. So I remember when it first released, people were really like critical, like that time like 20. I remember the trial had 20 grade 3s. Everyone was like, "That's going to be bad." Then yeah, see where we are now.
Best deck in format. One of the best decks. Better decks too. Best, yeah, I would definitely be a top
out
3.
of set one.
Out of set 1 is definitely a top 3.
Set 2, I'm inclined to say my testing, but yeah.
We'll have to see. Testing is testing, but obviously everyone says this in testing. Whoa, this deck's good in testing, but in practice it's different. So it's like we will see the results. It's much better to gauge that way.
Yeah, I think the last one is Brungate, which I think is.
We haven't talked about Brungate and Stoichea.
Let's just do Brungate first. Yeah, because it's pretty. I know if things to say about Stoichea, but Brungate basically I don't even know what it's anything to do with like the clan face up at least to read it up.
It went in a totally technically, if you want to say it that way, Prison was born of a concept of lock, a weaker concept of lock.
Some sort of control, yeah, which mostly in Link Joker, yes, yeah.
It's a weaker version of lock, if you want to say it that way. it's a control deck. But
basically, if lock was fair, then
yeah, that's very
that's what
putting it.
that's what you're going for, at least in my opinion.
It's very aptly putting it that way. Yeah. What happens when control decks are not oppressive to use?
I was pretty skeptical about it, but I'm still kind of scared of Prison. Like right now, you're manageable, but once they do get like enough support to be oppressive,
there will be a critical mass of enough Prison cards, of enough minus cards, because Prison just hards minus, and if they hard minus hard enough, they will eventually be broken. Like set 2 support has already started with all new order card. I believe it's let me pull up the name here.
The names are pretty long.
It's a 24 hour coverage.
Yeah, let's go.
It's an order card which can rip off a card from your opponent's hand and put it into Prison.
Yeah, the other one is the Bug Motor, right? The one that prisons from the route zone.
Yep. Technically, there's already a Lemon from the Fighters Collection, which can start prisoning from the drop zone when it is attack hits. So it's already like they're already experimenting with the different ways you can imprison cards. When more of these appear, it will be eventually there'll be enough places you can prison from to make it like very threatening. Of course, compared to lock, prison cards can come back, which obviously is much more different because like lock cards are stay locked forever, and like
basically they had to design a way to I remember in GRR they had to design cards specifically to unlock in other clans.
Yeah,
Just to deal with it.
yeah. That's obviously not really a healthy design to have for long term, so it's understandable. But yeah,
But yeah, Prison's technically our like first control deck in Overdress at least.
okay. Technically, Eugene is a retired deck.
After retire, yeah, it even retires, but it doesn't really like it's not full out control in my opinion.
True, because technically
You
prison
still need to
saps
be
your
rushing, yeah.
resources. Yeah. Prison like makes you pay resources to free the
Yeah.
units back.
The idea of it is supposed to be like an out advantage war.
Yeah, but we definitely need to see in the future how they go with the design, because they
Yeah.
already have ways to prison from hand from drop zone. Of course, from rear guards is main skills currently, but if they print, as long as they print more binding from hand or from drop zone, it's gonna be scary someday. The
Yeah,
day's not today
and
currently, but someday.
yeah.
That's the simple thoughts on prison.
I think
So
like
that-
Prison is at least is a brand new archetype, yeah. So I think clan identity doesn't really apply for Vanguard in particular.
yeah, because okay, technically it's Link Joker esque, but it's like
Yeah, but the art style is not very
weaker
good.
Link Joker esque. But then we talk about the other one, Office, Office, Office.
Okay, Office. I don't know what they are. They're basically Link Joker art style, but Neo Nectar. That's what it feels like to me. I mean the
Link Joker
tokens and all.
style.
Yeah, it's like they just slap like kind of like shiny paint on Neo Nectar and it's like here you go. Since we don't do tokens anymore in Stoichea, here you go. There's-
Not wrong.
Office is okay. Maybe one thing about Brangate, maybe it's creating a brand new clan identity at least, right? Like because both decks use the new set orders, which are exclusive to Brangate at the moment, right?
Currently,
So-
the concept was that Brungate was going to be an order-based clan.
Yeah, set
They,
order.
they,
based.
they use set orders which stay on the field, which is similar to that of Bank Dreams when they first tested the order.
Yeah, it was a thing around then.
They were definitely testing during that time when Bank Dream, where the music orders were placed behind the Vanguard and can be casted by the main Vanguard for each band. So it's like,
Didn't you write like 5 or 6 articles on that?
let's not talk about that one. But yeah, so they were definitely testing the concept of set orders, and they have put that into practice here. So it's
Yeah,
like interesting to see that they're experimenting something.
Yeah,
In Officer's case, it's more like it's a, how do I put it?
there's a lot they can do with the Abyssal Dark Knight.
Right now,
But at
there's
the moment, it just feels like Token Rush.
even
to
with
me at least.
even with the set 2 support, it feels like the same deck.
It's still Token Rush.
Yeah, they got more orders, sure, but it's like
Oh yeah,
the same coat of paint.
I saw this meme because like people were like, where's my Nova Grappler like reps in Vanguard, right? Then some guy was like, but you just got like three cards that can counter charge this set. Like like true, I guess. Nova Grappler was the counter charge clan. I guess that's where they went.
Not wrong.
There's like one for prison. There's two for worlds. I think. There's one generic one. There's like one. So much counter charge.
There's a
Then there's still
lot
the-
of counter
Then there's
charge.
still like the top order. There's still that top order double R mobile mine. No, you like 4 counter charges.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of counter charge in the nation.
Yeah, so
And
maybe
they're pretty generic.
a little grasping at straws, but maybe there's no more grapplers coming through in the end.
Technically, Nova Grapplers would be considered multi-attack, but then again, there'll be the new right line coming, and it's unknown what it will do.
Oh
yet.
yeah, the basically Final Fantasy 7 ripoff, right? Genova is
Genova is
yeah, basically.
not
I
wrong.
can't remember the grade 2 just be like some Sephiroth ripoff.
Not wrong, not wrong. And
But Galaxy even called Meteor, like how on the nose can they get?
yeah, it's also based off a new set order they're going to print for that nation.
Yeah, actually looking forward to play that just for the memes at the very least.
Yeah, but compared to its original counterparts, Nova Grappler, Link Joker, and Dimension Police.
None of that's really embody like what they used
Okay,
to do.
technically, the art style of Dimension Police is recreated with the Battle Princesses of Prison. So that's
kind
the
of.
only thing that's like sort of created.
I
Copied
remember
over.
Blau was telling me like the only humans in Stargate at that time were Nova Raptor, so maybe prisons are spin off from there. I don't know. Maybe,
Like
that's what
3,000
happened.
years into the future,
Yeah,
they
they're like guys, let's stop fighting. Then after they're like, nope, let's put the battle princesses in the front.
yeah, they're technically more like
Yeah,
they're more like policemen than any
yeah.
policemen and women. So
You're
it's
all
like
woman, the woman.
oh, they're all women at the moment. Yeah,
Woman and mecha. That's what's happening.
that's where the dimension police comes into play.
Yeah, it's like every other gacha game that comes out every other year, every other month. It's made the mecha girls. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like to me at least.
Uh, we don't want to talk about that here.
There's way too many. Okay, anyway.
There is way
Yeah.
too many.
In summary, Renegades, if you're worried about clan identity, they are unique on their own, but if you're looking for like familiar playstyles when you come back into the game, they're really different. So if you want something different, go for it. If you're looking for something like familiar, yeah, maybe that's probably not for you. Yeah, and now there's Stoichea, which
Then
is
there is Stoichea, which is a mix up of the
Zoo and
Magellanic
Magical,
clans,
yeah.
Magellanic clans
Where the land meets the sea.
Magellanic
That was the
clans
tagline.
minus the Bermuda Triangle,
Yeah,
which means
it's
it's
like
Aqua Force and Granblue only.
It's like Aquaforce, Tremblue, they all unite. Then
And then we have a Zeus, New
yeah.
Nectar, Mega Colony, and Great Nature all mixing together.
So actually feel this is kind of a good thing. Like I know this is probably the most controversial one because many players didn't know how to feel about this because I think at least Mega Colony like their type of control playstyle is not really like manifested in any way so far.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
far, yeah. But then again, the current archetypes we have, Great Nature. Well, we have Magnolia, which is more like Great Nature and Aqua Force mixed together.
Yeah,
and
it's
have
very
the-
early Aquaforce. Back when
Yeah.
it's like Storm Riders and all that too.
And there's multi-attacking from the back row, which is a bit more unique than
Yeah.
say. Well, it's similar to that of Commander Tawas from Aqua Force.
Yeah. And yeah. I remember people even trying in premium.
Yeah.
Called Magnolia.
Yeah, because you can have the benefits of both of using
Mm.
any of the cards from those nation. That's like very
Mm.
unique.
And like honestly, New Nectar, I don't even know what's being represented anymore.
New Nectar currently does have a representation.
I mean, in art wise, there's a lot of them. Like the flower girls are just like basically what the flowers. I think God they have like so many flowers in like Stoichea. They're like, okay, we need a flower for Zorga. Then Zorga got like 3 flower girls. then like we need one generic one
And
there.
speaking of Zerga, they're the most like for Granblue's identity of being zombie seamen and all that.
Yep. I feel Zorga feels like a very natural evolution of Granblue. Like you're already playing the Troll Zone anyway, right? So we played with monsters that play spells.
No, but the art style, it's one of the like this is the most Granblue-esque thing.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
not
very
no,
Granblue.
there's no waifus around this round to
Hey, you have the heal trigger, right?
Shush. You don't need to talk about like your Granblue is generally obviously the most famous unit, Night Rose.
Yeah.
Needs no explanation, needs no introduction. One of the most popular Granblue units. So it's like they played off the zombie seaman thing very well.
I feel like it's like Zorga's like this mad alchemist just experiments.
Sea alchemist too.
Yeah.
It's not even like a
Like
level.
we're like Kokaitas, like necromancer, like sure, but Zorga actually looks like cool to be an avatar unit, you know.
It's definitely a fresh take on the clan.
Yeah, and of course,
Like
alchemy magic
Stoichea.
in general. That's very fresh.
Yeah, of course. Rungate may use set orders, but Stoichea as a whole uses a lot of orders in their deck.
Yeah, but I think this kind of like exclusive to Stoichea actually. Like at least
Like
on set one.
decks have used orders.
Yeah,
sure, but
your
like,
generic orders are very strong.
yeah, but like in terms of the decks that being focused on the orders, like Stoichea uses a lot of orders
yeah.
throughout their decks.
You play more than most. Yeah, that's true.
There's not just play more than most. It's just that there's a lot of orders around also. Like even Magnolia also uses some of these orders because there's so many, and eventually when there are so many, there'll be some efficient orders to be used.
Yeah, spiritual body, ghost chase, some
Mm.
staples like that. Yeah.
Mm.
Also, like one thing to note is that at least with the like Zorga and Magnolia, there's not much overlap to them in terms of units.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
much. Okay,
they really.
technically because of Zolga's mechanic, which is Alchemy Magic, which makes us order uses
Yeah,
you cast an order
you
from
say play
hand,
like 11 orders
you can
or
cast one order
something.
from hand, you can
Yeah, you
activate
buy
one
one from
order from
drop
the drop
zone.
zone.
You can like double
So
down on orders so that play turn.
yeah, it is unique, but it's also playing off the fact that it uses the drop zone,
Mm.
which is a very grim blue thing to do. Of course, it
It
comes
still
with its
has the
own
revival things.
prices.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
orders
it's not
revive,
its own
Zorga can
price.
revive.
Yeah, but of course, its main draw it sits also its art style with its skills, which yeah,
It's very grim blue. Yeah,
it's true. It's more true Granblue. Like
yeah.
more people wanted from Granblue
Mm.
than Bushido actually made it out to be, because after a certain point it became Night Rose the clan. Sadly,
Eventually, yeah. I mean, last set of VV8 Ghosties, but generally, yeah, it's always been a night roasting.
mm. And yeah, so this covers it pretty much. There are some overlappings
I
throughout
would
the
say for Stoichea at
clans.
least, the most unique part about it is because Great Nature, Alco Force, Grand Blue, and what's the last clan? New Nectar, yeah, because they're all like regard based clans,
Yep.
strategies normally. So like I think that's why there's so much overlap because any form of like getting a piece back or drawing into your piece is always valuable in any of 4 display styles. So I think in terms of like generic cards, at least for premium, you actually have the best pool of new cards.
Yeah, and I think like for the best example we use is Spiritual Body Chase.
Mm.
Like it's used in most of the decks, most of the premium decks that can use this.
Yeah, basically.
Like
Of
Aqua
course.
Force uses, okay, only Grand Blue doesn't really use it, but Aqua Force
Mm.
uses it. Neonator can use it if they want to.
Mega Colony wants
Mega
it.
Colony wants it.
Yeah,
It's superior call from the drop zone,
finally, and Lion can be tagged and not 4 copies.
and you can be discarded for strike, and you can call it
Yeah,
back. So it's like,
yeah. There's a lot of room for experiment there.
yeah, like Great Nature also. It's okay. Okay, Great
I
Nature may
mean,
not be wanted for the soul cost, but
hey,
it's like
hey,
any
but
unit from the drop zone
you
being
can
retired
revive
from
the
the side
Rhino.
back. Yeah,
The Rhino.
any retired unit or pitch units for strike can be used to revive back, which is like, it definitely has the most use. Like even if it's that one card alone, it has the most use in the premium format, which is like, like all the clans can like mix around.
Yeah, yeah. Because of this regard thing, I guess Mega Colony get a short stick in terms of that, of like your own representation. But maybe next year we'll see a right line focus more on that.
Yeah, because there is a
Mm.
Aqua Force Dragon like right line that's upcoming
Yeah,
for the set
I
3.
mean it literally says uh it will go back to like the tier based attacks like wave
Yeah,
Aquas are known for. So
yeah.
yeah.
So that is something to look forward to, and maybe someday the
Mm.
other nations, well, pretty much Mega Colony and Great and New Nectar, the only ones not represented left,
Yeah,
get their time in the spotlight.
that's what I'm saying. New Nectar just moved to Vanguard. They're like tokens, yeah.
That's how that works.
That's my theory.
That's just a theory, a game theory, but hey. Alright, a bit off tangent.
I think really like at least with the 10 decks now, I feel all them play different enough. Apart from I think Hextop and even Hextop and Bastion I said similar pace, but the whole because the gimmicks are different already. Like set 2, they're definitely splitting away.
Mm. It's definitely more emphasized
Mm.
because Hexalt finally got more scrying tools where they can check more cards
Yeah,
throughout the deck. They are more.
they can play more like real OTG.
Yeah,
Basically.
and they also have a hint of element of the Sanctuary,
Go
the
Paladin,
Paladins.
Paladins,
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty much
Superior
go
Calls, all that.
Paladin,
A lot of Go Paladin, yeah, influence, I'll say.
because as you're scrying the top card, you can Superior Call them with that great one.
Mm.
What's his name?
Diamond Sorceress.
Yeah.
And even like Owen is like literally a Go Paladin unit. To migrate to.
Uh, yeah, we can call from hand plus 5k, right?
Yeah. No, it's the one which allows me to rearrange the top cards of my deck.
Oh, okay, okay.
I
That
think with that I can move on to like some set 2 testings, I guess.
yeah, sure. We had a session, small session earlier today.
I mean, we played CFA for a while, but playing
Yeah,
with actual real proxies is like really different.
yeah, because ultimately in like the tournaments and such, you'll be using the real cards, not
Yeah,
really an online program.
yeah, CFA is RNG though. Sometimes it's really off, but
What to do about it?
it's free. I don't complain about them. Just proud to them.
Yeah,
So what have you been personally testing so far? I mean, I know, but the audience doesn't know.
okay, obviously the most I'll be testing is Magnolia. Okay, let's just say Magnolia. Stoichea in general, I've been
Okay, in
testing a
general,
lot of.
yeah.
Yeah, like obviously I'll be using this clan nation. Can't get rid of old habits.
You can just play encounter PVD. You can just call it Sheriff Elindek.
No, no, this is not how that works, Cipher. This is not how that works. But yeah, I've been testing a lot of Stoichea in general, both Magnolia and Zogar, and it's
So which
interesting.
So which do you prefer personally? Like,
Okay, for my playstyle, I definitely prefer Magnolia.
Magnolia.
Yeah, Magnolia got quite a lot of tools to help show up some of its problems it has right now. Set 2, so far it seems like they haven't fully solved all the problems, but
Yeah.
they're getting there. They're getting there.
Set 2,
Someday.
Set 2 really feels like it gives it tools like at least the new part. The second dish the card should highlight is what's his name is
Dani Maru.
Danimaru. Okay, that's a kind of strange name for Stoichea.
Dami Naru.
Dami.
Okay, it's very hard to pronounce. Dami Naru. Okay, yeah.
The name's strange for okay. I mean like there's like Magnolia, Lettuce, and suddenly Daiminaru. Okay, anyway, so yeah, this card's really strong for Magnolia. I've used it personally, and really this card and the Wild Intelligence order card which they got really solve some of the deck issues. Yeah.
Oh, Wild Intelligence is technically like a callback. It's copying from its Granblue and Great Nature
it's actually Granblue, yeah, which is I didn't expect that from a Magnolia based card actually.
Great Nature and Granblue, where in Great Nature technically it's only for V era, but they still did it. Where you mill triggers and get where you mill cards and get effects based off the cards you mill. So it's like sort of something like that. But because Magnolia because with our intelligence you can call any 1 or 2 units. If you're Magnolia, you'll be 2. If you're not Magnolia, you'll be 1. Yeah. So like you call any unit from the drop zone. Technically it's a Granblue-esque skill, but like milling the 3 cards can sometimes be very useful for a deck like Magnolia, where you actually don't really like combo base one thing. Pieces sometimes you may not have the cards you want to call compared to say Zoga, where you go through your deck a lot faster. So it's like, yeah. So the mill tree actually helps if you mill units you want to call out, you can call it out immediately.
And the part I like is you mill first and call ending roll drop zone.
Yeah.
It's not like you can.
You don't have to call the 3 units.
Yeah.
Especially like if you mill the 3 and be order cards or trigger units or perfect guards, you don't really want to call those. You don't really want to call those all the time, so it's like it's fine.
Yeah, I think another thing about Daiminaru is because it works on place too, so it can even work when it's called from the drop zone.
Yeah, it also helps show up one of Magnolia's problem where it can do one more attack because it allows 1 unit to attack from the back row.
On place, yeah.
Yeah, for its on place. So it's something.
I think if Magnolia does start first, it's gonna be really scary.
Yeah, because
imagine your 10k base Vanguard.
When it goes first, Daminaru actually gets 5k when it's chosen by a Vanguard effect. So it becomes a 20k when chosen by Magnolia, and 20k to 10k is like one of the key things Magnolia wants to look out for, where it can hit past the damage trigger threshold.
At least on grade 2, it should guarantee you hit above the damage trigger.
Which actually makes the deck a lot more. It shows up this part of the problem where you can flood the field, and you can perform more than 4 attacks on your first grade 3 turn, which is one of its drawbacks.
Also, another thing is like, it even works. You can choose any regard though, so like, it's not limited to just itself.
Yeah, so not just itself thing, it's fine because that one, honestly, because that you can choose itself for the skill, and sometimes you just don't have the persona right, so it's like you can just treat it for like
Yeah,
extra turn of persona
yeah.
right.
I do play Exalt, so I do understand where you're coming from. At least now you got more options to play without persona, right? I think it's what they're trying to say.
Yeah. So there's also Urgula, which is interesting. The resist may seem random, maybe relevant in the future. I cross my fingers on it.
I think you did say something like Arc of Force, right? That might be.
Yeah, but
yeah.
the problem is it's more like Urgula's other skill, which is the main point of this, is that it can move units anywhere.
So like, yeah, left to right, right to left.
Like units that originally cannot be on the you are stuck to one place, like be it say especially in Magnolia where your grade 2s are stuck in the back row center and you're gonna have troubles removing the card from there. Like calling over it feels a bit of a waste, but like
Why don't know the card is it has no power. That's my main problem with it.
that's the whole problem with Magnolia currently, but that's also a whole other thing, whole other basket. Hopefully it will be solved another day. But yeah, in terms of moving units around, like it helps rearrange bots to be more favorable in your favor, because especially when you are rushing, your bots may not be in the correct state. Like your units may be like,
Yeah,
for example,
you can find out more when you check out the guide he actually wrote inside one.
I think
Sometimes
the
it
guide
explains-
shows a bit better.
Yeah, because when you go first and go second, sometimes the way you play with it is to eat up as much shield as possible, like your numbers may not be the same. So at least with this card you can
Rearrange
play
the
around.
bot. You
Especially
rearrange
if, like,
the whole bot to be in your favor.
yeah, and especially with like wild intelligence right now, you can actually do it very constantly.
And definitely, again, as mentioned, for the future, like when the new Aquaforce boss comes out, it's also definitely going to be a thing, because rearranging bots, keep a lookout on this card there, I would say. Because rearranging bots is... Because
Even the resist, right?
Yeah.
Like
resist
if you-
is one thing.
if you get like a new title of fault, like oh no shit, I need to swing my attacks into that thing instead of getting rid of it. Yeah.
You can't hard remove it. You have to remove Urgula herself first before
Yeah.
being able to remove the card unit. Like rearranging bots is a weird thing that most people won't think about, but in Magnolia or in the future Aquaforce bosses state, Zogar doesn't really need it because you generally call what you want. It's not as important there, I would say.
I think another thing we should touch on is like your right deck, right?
Yeah. So okay. To say that running a Rancor Chain and Black Tears as the right deck for Magnolia is more of a thing now, because there's Wild Intelligence. Wild Intelligence is such a good
Yeah,
card.
it makes you want to play more orders, and they still Ghost Chase, which is amazing, especially Wild Intelligence right now.
Yeah. So it's like the deck plays more orders and it's likely to be pivoting into Rancor Chain plus Black Tears as the main right deck over Lettuce and Cherries. Sadly for the right deck.
Yeah, especially now since Soul Blast is kind of tight. Like you'd rather use the Soul Blast for Rancor than Lettuce, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's some more Lettuce and Cherries are both top calls, and you may weave the calls. Sometimes it doesn't feel good. But yeah, technically in Rancor Chains and Black Tears case, you have more control, I guess, over your fate.
Yeah, I mean it's still a draw too basically. You cycle through more cards.
Yeah,
Then,
well, for a deck like Magnolia that needs to draw this persona, right, it's really...
Especially if you get the order of, you're actually not minusing a single card, which is kind of nuts, because...
It's more like
just,
a net +2, if you want to look at it.
Yeah, it's just a +2, which is like, for Magnolia, like, yeah.
For every other deck, they generally got a +1, more or less.
Yeah, because card advantage is not very common in Overdress. Like, not many decks have like immediate +2 like that. Like Eldon has like +2 to board, but it must score 1 to draw 2. Like that's I think that's the best example of any other nation. But let's say like Varina Arcus at least, like you're paying 2 cards to get 2 cards back. So you're kind of
got
breaking even.
Trickstar, you technically have
Yeah.
to call Trickstar beat from Nirvana or calling from hand.
Like early
before
game is
able to
fine
use.
because you get 1 on the right deck, but as the game goes, you really can't afford to use Trickstar there all the time, as you really need the stronger beaters for later in the game.
It's one simpler way of looking at it.
I think Zorga is basically just like a more complete deck. Nothing much has changed, right?
Zorga.
Set 1, he was kind of a meme. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think the deck was any good in set 1. I know people feel otherwise, but yeah, like I just feel the deck was missing too much in set 1.
Definitely. To say that set 1 the deck is incomplete is definitely true. People like the deck concept, yes.
No, it's fine to like the deck, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
but
fine.
the claims of people saying the deck's tier 1 or that a bit more questionable when there are things like Bastion and Bruce Barrow running around. It's like
even Varina, which is like arguably like 1 tier below, which I think it is.
Yeah, like it's hard to compare Zolga with those decks, you know.
So what basically set 2 just completed what the deck was missing.
I wouldn't say completed, but I definitely say it shows up.
It's now at least
it gave it more tools. Okay,
it's a full deck. It's a full deck now. It's not like filler cards. Yeah, I think
that's a nice way of putting it. But for future wise, I'm looking at for Zorga. It's like set 2 currently shows up some problems it had, but it didn't show up fully. Because the concept of order cards to play in your deck means that you're running lesser shield value.
Yeah. So you're effectively begging on triggers to be your only shield.
Yeah, and because you're playing that much order cards in your deck, you're going to drive check them.
Yeah.
You can drive check a total of 0 shield and you just die.
Not to mention, you're still playing Persona Rights too, right? So
yeah,
the number does add up.
Like, it's not that you can't not play Persona, right? You can don't play Persona, right? But like, what are you going to do if you don't Persona, right?
Yeah. Zorga's problem is really like, at least to me, is like he has much like stability issues. The deck was so unstable. Like some games, yeah, if it goes like perfectly like great turn 2 into turn 3.
Not only that, it's also milling off triggers. Like it can if it gets to like the god meal where it's like no triggers, I drive check all my triggers is obviously the best deck in format. I'm not gonna say anything otherwise.
Like 1 or 2 is fine, yeah. But like when it gets too much, definitely. I think the main card to highlight is definitely the great one, which is the
Rook Hunter. Yep. Also the other thing I think is regurgitation from the underworld. It's a very good card that makes Zorga have removal, which is wow, unheard of.
I think it's like if you kill a grade 2 or grade 1, you're gonna profit from it. Grade 3s is pretty arguable, but grade 2s and grade 1s definitely.
Yeah, especially if they are key opponent units and you get to choose the unit you're retiring.
Yeah.
For a deck like Zorga that it needs all the help it can get. Obviously, one of the future things I can note of is that for Zorga now, it might show up some of its current problems. It definitely emphasizes its turn 3, where you start chaining Alchemy Magic all over the place. It definitely emphasized that its turn 3 gotten way stronger.
It's gotten a lot more tools to be like it's a lot more consistent in like the turn 3 to turn 4. Like you got many cards to just literally just put back orders to the road zone now.
Yeah, and you can like win. Like, it sounds weird to say, but like win the game, but it's like you're doing the same thing every turn post turn 3 where you're just
yeah. I think the appeal of it was to have you play a lot of different orders at the start. They wanted you to like, oh okay, depending on the situation you go for this play, then you go into this play. But I think at the moment at least we don't have like enough strong orders. Like currently like it's like Great Despair Rejection, this one and maybe Rifting Souls, the one that mills for.
Yep,
and
Reputation,
and of course Spiritual Body, yeah. So technically they're like 5 or 6 good orders now, so I'm sure there'll be more experimentation with the Zorga fanbase because it's quite big. So
a lot of people like it.
Yeah.
Maybe not just for the skills, can be just for the art. It's that good. Of course, one of the future things of orders I'm looking at is like they could experiment with order giving the Vanguard to allow withstand the rear guard or like Spear Call from drop zone.
Multi-attack, basically. Yeah.
Multi-attacking pretty much.
I think that's what the deck's really lacking to be a top tier deck. Like, I don't want every deck to be a multi-attack deck, but I think for Zorga at least, since you're playing so much like shield value, like such low shield value.
There's a lot of dead cards to say.
Yeah.
Like even if they printed an order, your drop zone may not have the unit to call. You may be calling a trigger to a perfect guard to call.
I remember I played like a few games in the set 1 Zorga. I was milling like trigger, and my perfect guard. And I was like,
And
okay.
your superior calls were all triggers and perfect guards. I
Yeah.
mean, Ghost Chase is a good card to bounce back those cards, of course, but like there's only
But
so
it
many
is-
times you can cast Ghost Chase.
Yeah, like there's not much draw power in that regard. Like you mill a lot, don't get me wrong, but there's no way to actually put the cards in your hand consistently.
Like they're in the drop zone, sure. What can you do with that?
Like sometimes I feel like you need like specific orders in your drop zone to actually get things going. Otherwise, it's just like, oh, okay, here's my mediocre Vanguard attack because the regards don't get crit or anything crazy like resend. So it's like, oh, okay, no god. Then yeah, that's your turn.
They get a lot of power, which is great for turn 3. For sure.
They have strong highs, yeah, but
But they have very low lows.
yeah, very low. Yeah, it's the most polarizing deck I would say, or the first 10 at least.
It's very polarizing. But then again, the new support cards definitely shows up. It makes its turn 3 even stronger and makes turn 4 plus even better with its better orders and better cards it has to play with in its arsenal. So yeah, just keep an eye on that. I guess the next deck I can talk about, we tested a bit. I tested is Prison, Seraph White. So because they gave it hand binding, so I definitely wanted hand to Prison cards. So it's like I definitely was going to give it a try.
Okay, so for context, like I think at least among our like local friend groups, like, everyone figured out how to play around Prison in set 1, which was just deny triple drive until you're ready to handle it. So so like that was a big question. Like can Prison do anything if you cannot get triple drive? Which is I assure you is a real problem for set 1. And it's probably why you don't see a lot of Prison topping in the early meta of Overdress at least. Now in set 2, they give you the tools to like guarantee your triple drive and Prison, but
at what cost?
yeah, it's like so right now it's like the way I see it, like you're playing like these 7 to 8 cards in your deck specifically to handle a problem the deck has. But if your opponent does not play, like your opponent does not have to play this type of denial game anymore, then you just dead cards in your deck.
Yeah, like because of its options, there's this new, of course, as mentioned earlier, the 24 hours
24
coverage
hours.
where you can buy from hand.
Then
And
Moto
the other one is Bug Moto, yeah, where you can
It
buy
buys
from
from
drop
drop
zone.
zone.
It buys from drop
You-
zone when there are 1 or less cards.
yeah,
in
1 or
prison.
less. That's the problem. Like
Yeah.
so your opponent is just gonna rush you anyway, which a lot of decks in set 2 did get a significant like push in turn 4 at least.
Early game.
Yeah,
tempo.
early game is much stronger. Like right now we've evolved to a point where we don't really need to play around Prison all the time.
Yeah, you can just play into Prison's hand and still mount the
Yeah.
offensive next turn. And even if you can't mount the offensive, you can just use your skills to call the cards out from Prison and rush
Yeah.
back. So it's like,
I guess that was what the new support was made for, the new Perio thing, which
turquoise.
Turquoise.
Yeah. Perio Turquoise. Perio Turquoise is an interesting take on Prison where you minus 5k power to the units that are being called from Prison to discourage calling from Prison. So it's like, it's interesting.
kind of, yeah.
Kind of. But it's still gonna call out from Prison, it's still gonna get rush, and Personal Right just covers up the minus 5k power.
It's also not immune to any sort of like removal, which is fair. I don't want 2 of these in the front row staring me down.
Yeah, 2 of that in the front row against a non-remover, it's
it's
pretty
gonna be
scary,
really
not
tough to
gonna
deal
lie. Yeah, like it really discourages calling from Prison through. Like it definitely makes the Nirvana matchup a lot more like Overdress
Verna's-
matchup.
Varana's gonna find it very hard to beat.
Yeah, like okay, if Verena happens to fall into the Overdress, falls into the control of Seraph White, it's gonna be very hard for Verena to get itself out of its pickle. Even though it got this new, even though it got Egger to multi attack, You might be finding it hard to get
I
out
would
the
say because
sticker.
like
situation.
Varina always had problems maintaining its counterblast at the very least. So yeah, you get counter charge with Ergo, but you lose the soul which you could use to be calling from prison.
So it's like you're
Yeah,
technically never gonna deny prison, sure.
So,
but...
like, you probably have to play this very limp stuff where you just use 3 stars and boosters and play vanilla Nirvana again. I wonder if it will still work though. Like, I don't think it'll work as good.
definitely something to try out, but like I don't have that much time to practice every single matchup, obviously. So
yeah, they're still testing it out.
And it's also the cards wasn't fully reviewed, so very hard. There's very little sample games to test all.
There's still one more double to go. So
Yeah, as of time of recording, it's about 1 week before the set 2 releases in the Japanese format.
Yeah. So we've done testing here and there.
Yeah.
Like Keter and Branky are still missing a double R, which I guess could change things.
It can be generics or they can be the ones supporting the deck. So it's hard to say.
From trends, there should be generics in my opinion, but
it's hard to say because Dragon Empire did just get the last double R just before Varina. So it's like,
oh yeah, true. It's Varina, Eugene, and generic. I think
it's technically generic. Okay, I guess.
I mean, the only consistent retiree main face is Eugene. Because even Overlord's Berserk Dragon retired to battle face. So they kind of you're designed the corner literally. Yeah,
that's true.
A friend of mine was like looking at it. He was like, "Oh, I could play this," and like, no, retire during main phase, and like, okay.
They made it quite counter.
Yeah, they really designed pretty. They make sure the decks will remain pretty separate.
How about we go to Cipher then? What?
Okay, so I've been testing mostly Keter Century. As if you're on my channel, you probably know I'm a Keter Century player mainly. A bit of Dragon Empire, but I'm not tested Varina enough. So anyway, for Keter, I'm testing out Bastion. So Bastion, yeah, I still feel the deck's gonna be a top tier deck. Like people say it's gonna be losing to Rush, and especially if like decks like Bruce having Leonard, having the extra Filbo and all that. But these cards, the 2 cards on the highlight which is what's his name? Great. Okay, or English actually checks. It's actually an official English name now. Oh, wow.
Refresos, right?
I don't know how to pronounce this, but Heavenly Blow of Edifying Guidance. Refuros. I don't call it the old name. Refuros. Okay, I call it the old name.
It sounds easy.
Yeah, so this card essentially, I remember the amount of shit that he got when it was revealed. Like, I don't understand. I was disappointed at first, but it's like when I think about it, I do understand. So what it does is you personal right stand, it gets boost. Then if in the back row, when your front row stands, it stands. So it's effectively a 50k booster for the whole turn during your personal right turn. But you can also combine it with like Dark Strain Dragon to make it basically his skill life on turn 3. So what this actually implies is actually if you're at 4 damage against Bastion on your turn 3, likely next turn you need two Fey Guards to really survive the turn.
Speaking of personal right, Bastion is very likely to draw their personal right.
Yeah, because we still play with like plus. It's the way Bastion works because you are hard mulliganing for victories anyway, so you are looking for personal rights indirectly. Then you have cards like Elden, Commerce, which yes, I'm still playing Commerce for the moment. It's still good for the card draw. And even Control Bastion as Painkiller Angel. So there's enough ways to cycle through that. You're likely to see at least 2 personal rights in the game.
Yeah, it's eventually your draw it too, type of thing.
And it's really a card you just don't mind on the board at any point of time. Like a lot of let's take a set 1 Bastion decks. Like Elden, staple card, Kokabille, Sun Copies for shield. Then we had like Rough Look, which was less like it was a card to combo off Elden, right? Or for like Control Bastion, we use it for Downswing Sword of Judgment. Yep. So he had his place there. But what in now currently at this card, I feel it outshines those cards like Rough Look and all that.
Because Rough Look, he definitely covers Rough Look's place,
but Rough Look
in terms of like power.
1.
Yeah,
Rough Look -1. Rough Look gives you a 10k for the turn.
Resource stays on the board.
It's a 15k. You can play both of these. Yeah, I agree. You could play both. But currently, I think slots are. I think Fossado is too important not to cut.
There's only so many
Yeah.
slots. Okay, it seems funny, but there's only so many slots in
Yeah.
Bastion. You only effectively have 20. That's what the 27 grade 3 thing come from.
You only have
Effectively only has 26
26 slots.
slots to
26
choose
slots,
from
yeah.
because you're playing 4 sentinels and okay, there's
And
16
right deck, yeah.
triggers, 4 right decks, so that's 20 cards that are automatically
Yeah.
filled. So with 4 perfect cards, there's only 26 cards to fill. There's only so many slots and so
Yeah.
many good cards, and you're developing Persona, right? So technically it's
Mm.
minus another 3. So there's only effectively 23 slots to play around with. Not a lot.
Yeah. I feel like right now, at least this card's really good. Some people say play Lepisto, which you totally can in like I guess Exalt you could play it. But I think as a key card in Bastion, it certainly grew on me. Like definitely do not cut Dark Strain if you're playing this card. Unless
The
you're playing
deck, the
control
deck,
Bastion.
the deck relies on so many grade 3 steals, so
Yeah,
it's like
so like this card is not a replacement to Dark Strain, rather use it in addition to it.
because you still need your grade 3s to boost
Yeah.
sometimes. Because for turn 3 you don't have Persona, right? So you can't boost yet.
Yeah.
So how are you going to mount an offensive turn?
That's
It'll be
it.
quite
though.
a weak offensive turn though.
That said, though, many times in Keter Century, your early game you're gonna be calling Elden into something. So like whatever you call, ideally you want a Fosado there, but this card is totally fine because you can shoot it back for next turn.
Yep.
So it really goes nice. It's not like the turn succession. It really plays into the pace you're playing the units.
And don't forget about the numbers. The Persona right turn numbers are
Yeah, like if Elden, because which is like meant to go with it, is 45 on the first swing, and it resets is 60k. So you're about at 4 to 5 damage. Even a damage trigger can't really save them.
and there's a lot of shield and to guard.
Yeah. And how many figures can they really like afford?
Like this is already hitting the belly. One
Yeah.
over trigger
And there's-
for 50k
Yeah,
shield,
and there's
and
only
he's
2 attacks.
barely can guard
There's still the Vanguard, which might have a booster or not.
And then there's
still
still
the other
trigger.
Vanguard.
There's also trigger
Yeah.
power to worry about too.
And the other regards hitting usually for at least 40k also. So it's like, how many triggers can you really afford?
There's only so many attacks you can afford to guard,
Hmm.
and so much shield to go around to guard all these attacks. So it's like,
The other card which I feel makes Bastion, like the traditional Bastion deck list, is definitely the new double R, which is Heavenly Fight Dragon. Prideful Dragon, yeah. Prideful Dragon is basically a win more card in some regards, but basically you have 4 grade 3 units, you come plus 1 to plus 1, when it attacks to draw a card.
grade 3 rear guards actually.
Yeah, grade 3 rear guards. It's an important note, as basically this card's not really live until like turn 4.
Because grade 3 rear guards doesn't count your Vanguard, so you have to commit
Yeah,
three
unlike a
other
lot of
grade
cards.
3s.
Yeah, if your 3 grade 3 units, I'll definitely play like 4 copies. But sometimes you just can't afford to commit this many grade 3s too early on at least. Then come plus 1, so plus 1. If you person right this turn instead, you can even get 5k crit at the end of turn.
So end
this
of turn is actually pretty important.
Yeah, so like, if let's put like 4 damage, let's say, you can swing with Prideful Dragon, use his skill, force them to guard this attack. Then Bastion attacks. If you check a crit and a grade 3, you can withstand Prideful Dragon with his own crit, and can get crit to the other regard, which is basically like your opponent has to guard every single attack during this turn. Which if you combine with like left rows before, like you said before, yeah, it's a 45k to at least 55 to 65 depending on what you
And
do.
it's too critical.
It's all crits and it's not even once per turn. So like on the second swing, you can actually go for the draw instead to
Depending on
get
game
some
state, of
defenses.
course.
Or if your opponent's if you know your opponent's low on shield, like just go for the extra crit. They can't afford to take the 3 crit. And over trigger can only heal 1, so you're still hitting over that regardless.
Yep. Of course, subject to game state, but that's obviously the concept for the card in practice. And it works a lot better than everyone thinks about it. Honestly.
It's all to do with the innate draw power and just how Bastion mulligans in general.
And you also more or less will also get the Persona right, which is also seem like Breath Resource people downplay that part. Yeah.
I feel the way Bastion should be built right now is either if you're going the control route, you're just playing the same deck with some new additions, or you're playing the traditional Bastion deck. You need to find a way to strike a balance between like the old cards which are very consistent and the new cards which are like which help you guarantee to win. So you need to find a good balance of these two cards.
Like whatever we said earlier regarding Overdress lasting beyond turn 4 and above, like turn 5 and above, Bastion with these cards can definitely kill on turn 4.
Yeah, which is I think the main selling point in these cards. They're not as consistent as your good buddies from the start deck and set one, but if you want to win the games, you want to win games fast, yeah, definitely these cards are very, very effective at what they do.
Turn 4 is
Yeah.
very threatening now. And if your opponent somehow survives it, they may not even have enough to mount counterplay,
Yeah.
and they will just die the next turn. So it's like, yeah, just something to note.
So nothing on the highlight. I think in general is like the new fronts, the 20k fronts. I think this will be like staples for any deck with enough draw power. Like these cards are insanely strong. 20k shields. I wasn't a fan of them at first, but as I tested more, it's like, oh my god, this 20k
The
shield.
requirement for these 20k shields
Yeah.
just need to be when your opponent's a great shield,
Grade
right?
3, yeah. So if Bastion has enough draw power already, so I'm putting it straight into Bastion for sure.
Yeah, they're still worth 15k shield, but they will get 5k shield when your opponent's grade 3. So it's like, innately they still can be used early for guarding, but if you go beyond the
I generally like
since
this.
there's a
I like
3,
to like hang on to them into the game.
20k shield is worth a lot right now because most of the magic numbers hit for 20k to guard.
Yeah, which is, and 20 plus 15 is 35, so that's actually like a no pass in most cases, where 30k shield might still be a 1 to pass during personal right. Actually during personal right turns, yeah. Which is, I think, the biggest thing about them. So yeah, Bastion for sure is gonna play that in my opinion. Unless you're playing control Bastion, then maybe you still want to draw for the combo pieces.
How about Hexorb on the
Hex Swap, yeah. So basically, Hex Swap is like feels very complete now. Which is surprising to say. Is I think I've mentioned it before. It's basically another Magnolia where it's able to play consistently now, and without solely relying on personal right. Right. Of course, you still want to get into personal right turns.
Like Magnolia, you're a bit more. It's a bit more problematic because
you're still gated behind checking a trigger to do things.
And also the skill generally asks for a person. You want to use a Vanguard skill if possible.
Yeah.
So like if you can't use a Vanguard skill, it's a bit iffy sometimes.
Yeah, especially since you really need a double trigger usually to actually push, as the deck's not really fast as like Bastion in terms of pushing damage.
Yeah, the deck can tank beyond turn 4s, so it's
it can last there, but it's just now the problem is still that if your opponent has too many perfect guards, I mean it's funny to say, but like because generally you're still a 3 attack deck button, you're still kept behind that ceiling. Like no matter how high you go, your opponent has a perfect guard. That's it. That's how good your turn is.
That said though, it still holds for the best like deck that can go power beyond.
It has the highest cap.
Yeah.
I'm still testing out this, so things might change. But I'm thinking playing more into the aggressive nature of just doubling your trigger effects basically. Trigger power, yeah.
Yeah, which definitely seems to be the way they want to push the direction.
Especially like Diamond Sorcerer's Superior Calling, all this. They're not giving you straight out card advantage anymore. They're just letting you Superior Calls to the field.
Yeah. So
but those cards are really good though. Diamond Sorceress and Owen. Not much to say there. Like I'm probably gonna post something like one set to fully revealed for that.
Something to look forward to.
I think in general, like set 2 can be summarized like decks which needed a boost got like vertical power creep. Decks which didn't need it, they got like a horizontal power creep. I think that's the best way to put it. So like decks which are already good, they got more options. Decks which are like lacking, they got things to push it up. That's how I feel about set 2. So yes, I think this is a good time to end the episode. So thank you Zelius for joining me for this first episode of Cipher Talks. Yeah, and if you guys like to see or hear this content rather, do remember to like, comment, and subscribe, as you're going to do this pretty regularly hopefully. So yeah, goodbye.